Shut it.
Oh, there's really
Good morning and welcome to the close of our 45th school year and the celebration of our 39th graduating class, the lovely ladies and gentlemen you see before you today. Oh yes. And I'd also like to thank Michael Vernava from grade 7. And while Bach is really more his thing when it comes to piano, he kindly spent the last week or so learning the processional and recessional. We'll need somebody else when he graduates next year, so send me your names. We are genuinely delighted to welcome all of the parents and the grandparents and the students and aunts, uncles, neighbors, and family friends to our graduation ceremony. We love our graduating class, and we're going to miss them a whole bunch, and we're going to spend the next 2 hours or so celebrating them, what they've all accomplished, where they've been. You can certainly see how far they've come on the slideshow playing before you. And to my kindergartners and my junior kindergartners sitting up front, it won't be that long until you're sitting up here as well. It goes really fast. Before we move on, I think my junior kindergarten class has something for our graduates. And while they're taking care of that, I would also like to do some shout outs because we have a lot of former Old Orchard students in the audience. And I hope I'm going to get this all right because I've been trying to eyeball everybody as I went, but I believe we have, well, stand up if you were formerly with Old Orchard and it'll make it a lot easier for me. So all you can say, Amelia Gleixner, Hannah Holton, Sergey Pavlov. Is Francis here? Oh, I saw Jacob Lippman, I saw Izzy Hames, I saw Lucas Lang, Sophie Rosen, Jory Luther, Faye Neighbors, Christine Passion, Coco Athos, Nathan Darling, and did I already say Lucas? Okay, well, you know, he's tall, we have to say it twice. And so we're always happy to have everybody back. Yes. You have to hold them a little bit, guys. This was born of an accident many years ago when the florist was late, and the graduates loved it, so we've been doing it every year since. Well done. So, we have a few thank yous that I'd like to cover before we get into the real meat of our ceremony, and I am hoping that Renee Switkus and Rich Serpinot are close at hand. There's Rich. Poor Renee. I thought Renee was here. Well, while Rich is here, and Renee as well, she was going to do her best, but as you guys probably know, Rich has been the lower school lead on Project Cornerstone this year. He's been a long-time volunteer. He also spent much of this year supporting Renee as vice president of the Old Orchard Service League. Next year, he will be the president of the Old Orchard Service League, and we really value having him here and all the time that he has spent for Old Orchard. And so with our thank you, we would like to give him a restaurant gift certificate for a date night out. Wow. Thank you. I will catch up with her later in person, but I also can't say enough about Renee Switkus, who has been serving as our Old Orchard Service League president for about, I think, 3 years. She's been on the board for longer than that, and she is stepping down, but thankfully not walking away from Old Orchard, and for a well-deserved break and time to get back into her own art studio. So we're very excited for her. Okay, so we don't have a whole lot of school awards that we issue here at Old Orchard. We do have a handful. We like to give Citizenship and Spirit Awards in grades 4 through 8, and then in for the middle school, the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, we have what we call a Scholar Award. And this isn't necessarily an award that we actually give out each year. It is generated when students excel and basically get the best possible grade in at least 4 of their 5 core academic classes for the entire school year. It's a really, really high bar, and having said that we don't usually give out a whole lot of awards, the upper school was seriously overachieving this year. And so I have to find my list, it's that long. I would like to invite all of the awardees to come step forward and line up here, and Ms. McGillivray behind me is going to help me give them their plaques, and I'll share exactly what they for. So from 5th grade, Lily Fernald. Oh, and by the way, if we could save applause and we can hoot and holler when we've given everybody their award, okay? So I would need Lily Fernald to come forward. From 6th grade, Max Mason. From 7th grade, Madeline Schmidt. From 8th grade, Colby Worthington and Olivia Wall. From 4th grade, Michelle Tate. From 7th grade, Michaela Swift. From 6th grade, well, I'll tell you when I'm stopped giving them to calling up 6th graders. Maya Scheckman, Lucas Brown, Will Birch, he's not here today, but he got an award. Katie Hamada, Max Mason, Ada Yoder. That's for 6th grade. And from 7th grade, we have Katrina Serpinat, Michaela Swift, Isabel Shea, and then from 8th grade, we have Naomi Brown, Amanda Holton, Victoria McMillan, Olivia Wall again, and Isabel Littman. There's so many, I usually can just do this from here, so you guys will have to swivel a little bit. So first, for citizenship, as our citizen, 5th grade Citizen of the Year, we have Lily Fernald. You can just... And I should say, when it comes to citizenship and school spirit awards, the teachers really struggle. They think about the student who all year long has just been ready to step up and step forward and is a good friend, is a good classmate, is a good student, and it's a really hard decision to make. And as you'll discover, we sometimes have ties. So, from 6th grade, I'd like to invite Max Mason. From 7th grade, Citizen of the Year is Maddie Schmidt. And for our 8th grade ties for Citizen of the Year would be Colby Worthington and Olivia Wall. And then we have our Spirit Awards. And our plaque maker made a little bit of a boo-boo here, so I don't know how you can misspell the last name for Michelle Tate, but they managed. So in place of her plaque, I would like to invite Michelle over. Is she here somewhere? Michelle. So I'm probably going to be making everybody over there jealous, but as a placeholder, Michelle gets a free dress pass, good for the next school year. And finally, for the Spirit Award in 7th grade is Michaela Swift. Yeah. And I should say that the Spirit Award is distinguished, is very much a citizenship award, but it's when teachers have watched a student over a span of time, and we pick the 4th grader going into 5th grade and a 7th grader going into 8th grade because they'll be at the top of their respective campuses next year. So now we go on to the Scholar Awards. Fasten your seatbelts. So, for Lucas Brown, awarded in recognition of exceptional achievement in all academic subjects. Well done. For Maya Scheckman, awarded in recognition of exceptional achievement in history, science, language arts, and math. To Katie Hamada, in recognition of exceptional achievement in all academic subjects. And to Ada Yoder, for exceptional achievement in all academic subjects. Well done. Oops. To Max Mason, awarded in recognition of exceptional achievement in all subjects. To Isabel Shea, and awarded in recognition of exceptional achievement in history, science, language arts, and Spanish. This one's easy. Well done. And to Michaela Swift, awarded in recognition of exceptional achievement in all subjects. Okay. To Katrina Surprenant, awarded in recognition of exceptional achievement in all subjects. Anyone here? Oh, God. And from our graduating class, we have Naomi Brown, in recognition of exceptional achievement in all subjects. Well done. And to Amanda Holton, exceptional achievement in all subjects. To Victoria McMillan, exceptional achievement in all subjects. To Olivia Wall, in recognition of exceptional achievement in all subjects. There you go. And by no means least, we have Isabel Lippman in recognition of exceptional achievement in math, science, history, and Spanish. So, going to invite these lovely young men and women to retake their seats, but you may now hoot and holler for them. The other thing, hopefully I will be forgiven, but as you all know, Melissa Green is retiring at the end of this year. We were going to invite her up to the podium to make a big fuss, but she doesn't like a big fuss, but she's in the doorway over there, so goodbye, Melissa. All right, now we move to sort of the meat of our program, which is you'll be having alternating performances by all grades. We have all of our grades participate in Old Orchard graduation from junior kindergarten all the way through the graduates, of course. And for some weeks now, the different grades have been preparing songs for the class. And we're going to start off with a couple of those songs, and then we're going to have alternating speeches by our graduates and then speeches about the graduates by different faculty members who've been working with them closely during the middle school years. I have to say, poor Margaret Washington is homesick, so she will be having a stand-in, and we're hoping that Ms. Coman's voice makes an amazing comeback by the time it's her turn to stand up to speak. But we have stand-ins if we really, really have to. But first, having done a great job delivering flowers, I would like to invite our junior class forward for their presentation to the graduates. Okay. Well done, guys. And of course, that was music teacher Susan Casey on both harmonica and guitar. And just imagine how big you all look to them. As they go off the stage, I'd like to invite our kindergarten class forward. thank you to kindergarten. So now I'd like to invite, as they get settled, our first graduate speakers to come forward. And that would be, I need to make sure I was skipping ahead. Sorry about that. I'd like to invite Naomi Brown and Andrew Pavlov.
Hi, my name is Naomi Brown, for those of you who don't know me. I'm a singer, a dog mom, a basketball player, and an Old Orchard student. And now I am rounding off my 9th year here at this school with my amazing class. I'll get to you guys in a minute. But first, before I can even begin to describe my experience with my classmates, I have to thank the people who got me to this stage today. First and foremost, I want to thank my parents for everything they've done to help me throughout my school experience. From making me snacks when I have to finish my homework late at night, to giving me rides everywhere, to just plain paying my tuition. Beyond those things though, those two over there have supported me through it all. I love you guys. I would also like to thank my, my brother, Lucas. Thank you for always making me laugh, playing sports with me, and having interesting conversations with me. I love you, bro. And thank you so much, Grandma and Grandpa, for traveling here to see me graduate. Now I would like to thank all of my OS teachers, past and present. If it weren't for them, I would still be trying to pass kindergarten after all. No, but in all seriousness, the teachers here are so amazing and have taken my learning experience to the next level. Lastly, I want to give a shout out to Bella, Helena, and Jaden for being my homies from other grades, and I want to thank Izzy for flying all the way out here for this special occasion. Bob Goff, writer and diplomat, said, "Embrace uncertainty. Some of the most beautiful chapters in our lives won't have a title until much later." This quote stuck with me because as much as I am prepared and excited for my freshman year at Notre Dame High School, I am also uncertain of what exactly is to come in my future and in a world without my Old Orchard classmates. Well, one chapter of my life is closing and another one opens. But before that happens, I want to thank each and every person in my class extensively for all the memories, jokes, and moments they have each contributed to my OS experience. I know most of you are groaning in your heads, but don't worry. I won't draw on for an eternity. I've already written it all down in there. After the ceremony, I want to give you guys personal letters that I hope you'll read when you get home today, to thank each of you individually for truly enriching my life, one story, joke, or moment at a time. But for now, here are some of the most memorable and wholesome moments from our class that I'll never forget. Hunting for gingerbread cookies in K2, looking for praying mantises in the lollipop garden in 1st grade, a trip to Beckman's Bakery in 2nd, learning all about the solar system in 3rd, sandbox archaeology in 4th, and the egg drop from 5th. I clearly remember showing up as the dorky little 6th graders at the upper school, becoming the angel children 7th graders, and then the not-so-angel children 8th graders. I remember when they built the playground at the Campbell Community Center, and how much Olivia hated that. I will remember trips to downtown Campbell, Shakespeare plays and language arts, ice cream parties in math, Dia Divertidos in Spanish, and our absolutely amazing Crow Canyon trip. The time we spent in Crow Canyon proved to be my favorite OOS trip, and I think that trip truly brought us closer together as a class in a metaphorical sense, and also when we were all squished into that van. So thank you, class. Thank you, class, for all of our memories, all of our debates, all of our sing-alongs, all our inside jokes, and all the fun we've had together over the years. Thank you for everything.
So, I know you guys are tired of sitting here and listening to us thanking all of the great faculty at Old Orchard. Unfortunately, I'm going to do the same, but I'll make it quick, I promise. First off, I want to give a very special thanks to all of the lower school teachers for putting up with me. That wasn't exactly the easiest task, so a very special thanks to all of the wonderful people at the lower school. I wish I could recall my kindergarten years with Miss Katie and Miss Danny. All I can recollect is that both Miss Katie and Miss Danny were awesome and super caring. I remember my first day of 1st grade with Miss Crowdy and how sweet and awesome she was and still is. Miss Patel's class was equally as awesome, with our class growing up and having little meetings on Dinosaur Island. In 3rd grade with Miss Lum, I remember her wall with pictures of all the classes she ever taught and being super impressed. I was quite the mischief maker. One thing I remember was coming to school in a sling I found in my house. Anyway, I claimed I broke my arm, which I didn't. The things you do for affection, right? Anyway, my parents get an email from Miss Lum asking if she can help since I have a broken arm. That was quite embarrassing. Fourth grade with Miss McGillivray, Miss Cox, and Miss Schmuck was also great since they're all amazing teachers. I missed out on the 3 previous years before 8th, but 8th grade, the classes, the classmates, and the teachers all made up for it. I was super happy to return to Old Orchard because it feels like home to me. Our trip to Crow Canyon was super exhilarating since near all of our class came. We dug in a site called Haney and found parts of pottery from over 800 years ago. We had fun late-night gossip sessions, which Miss Coleman rudely interrupted at 10:15. Big thanks to every one of my teachers in 8th grade for putting up with my insanity. 8th grade was all I could have hoped for. Fun classes and even more fun memories with my classmates at the dances and outside of school. One last time, I want to thank everybody who contributed to an amazing past 10 years of my life. That includes every single teacher, every single student, and every single family member. Thank you.
Good morning. Today I'm reading a letter for Naomi. Dear Naomi, we've had a chaotic 3 years of poetry, discussions, Alfs, jokes about mics who make toothpaste caps, and Totoro-inspired Ligma. And all through it, I just want to say thank you for being not only an incredible scholar of literature and expression, but also the very paramour of humanity. Paragon, Shakespeare joke. You possess a rare balance of humor and maturity, assertiveness and gentleness, which I gather is a definition of a dingo. Someday I aspire to be as great a dingo as you are. You're the kind of person who has these maddening little smiles sometimes, like you've just thought of something incredibly witty but are afraid to say it in case no one gets the joke. The kind of person who, when given the choice of A, B, C, D, E on a science test, will put F. The kind of person who dispenses such useful advice as, remember that if you accidentally drink boiled water, just swallow a bunch of ice cubes. Looking back on our time together, perhaps what I appreciate most about you is how you take every writing assignment to heart, as if each one were a firework, an opportunity to light up the world from your eyes. Every reading response, every alft, every poem, story, piece, and scrap of writing in between is forged with Hamiltonian fervor. You have shown us beauty through your words, helped reconcile divergent approaches, discerned right from wrong, unearthed insight between the weeds of commas and dashes. I think of all the hope and prayers that I have for the world, encapsulated in one person. Confident, summary at once Apollo and Artemis. I have so loved reading each and every one of your hundreds of Google Docs that you sent me over these 3 flickering years, and I await the day that I will flip open a magazine, journal, a newspaper, a book, see your name, and dive into your sentences with the same giddy anticipation. I hope that as you continue on to Notre Dame, you'll remember the small moments destined to be lost, that you'll just keep on being who you are, seeing the beauty in everything and everyone no matter where you go. That part of you is never going to change, and I know your friends, family, and teachers won't let it. As Derek Morgan would say, we kind of love you, baby girl, and we are so proud of you. Love, Michelle.
I wrote my letter to Andrew. Who is Andrew? What is he all about? These are some of the questions that came to mind when you joined 8th grade last September. Really? He's Sergei's brother? Mrs. Burge, please check the Punnett Square. There could be some kind of mistake. Perhaps he's related to Vince Vaughn? Well, I know what sibling comparison looks like. I've seen it at Old Orchard so many times, and I've personally been accused of this practice by my own offspring. You are Andrew. You are unique. You're funny, at times hilarious, and smart, often trying to outsmart people. You're curious, witty, and also kind. I was informed that you joined Old Orchard in kindergarten. You decided to leave us sometime in 4th grade, and yes, we were not all that surprised that you came back. It's my understanding that your knowledge of Russian was quite limited at the time. Perhaps it should be referred to as selective Russian. I was very glad to see that your grandpa was still picking you up from Old Orchard. You did manage to present some challenges in 8th grade. It's a chore to get you off of a device. it's nearly impossible for you to stop taking and tossing students' lunchboxes. And then there was the selective hearing in English, which you, to your credit, displayed to all teachers with remarkable consistency. When referred to my office on multiple occasions for a wide range of minor violations, some of which were brand new to me, you proudly stated that you were never sent to the office at your old school and had no idea what the decor of that office looked like. On the other hand, you're pretty sure that you could draw a remarkably accurate drawing of my office, especially the framed Crow Canyon poster, which students face when seated across my desk. Speaking of Crow Canyon, this trip turned out to be quite an adventure. While you provided the essential entertainment in the bunk rooms at night, I was shown video evidence, some fellow students really needed to get some shut-eye. As a result, or consequence if you will, you nearly got an 8-person bunk room all to yourself. While you initially were not happy with this arrangement, Ms. Bonnie and I stood our ground and you accepted it. The highlight of your performances definitely happened on the rafting trip when you sang the national anthem as loud as you could while standing in front of the raft as the waves crashed onto the boat and splashed right onto you. I would not hastily sign you up for American Idol, but there's definitely some talent there to work with. I will fondly remember how you taught a different version of archaeology. I've named it the Andrew method. At the simulated as well as the actual dig site, you clearly demonstrated what archaeologists should not do, such as stabbing the trowel into the ground and risking destruction of a precious find, pulling the artifact from the dirt while still partially covered, and assuming something is a plain rock when in fact it is a real artifact. I have to admit that these are all great indicators that you at least learned something about archaeology. All kidding aside, I have enjoyed you in math class, even though you were brilliant at presenting non-math challenges. I'm very excited for you to start MIDI in the fall. You're a bright young man, so work to your potential, and you will find a great balance and satisfaction in all that you pursue. With love, Ms. Coleman.
And now I'd like to invite first grade forward. And now we'd like to invite second grade forward.
About a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. Three little birds, by my doorstep, singing sweet songs, a melody's pure and true, singing, this is my message to you. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. Three little birds, by my doorstep, singing sweet songs, a melody's pure and true, singing, this is my message to you. be alright. 'Cause every little thing is gonna be alright. 'Cause every little thing is gonna be alright.
Thank you. Our next speakers from the class of 2019 will be Eric Brown and Amanda Holton.
When 5-year-old Eric first set foot on this campus, he had absolutely no idea what he was in for. The next 10 years of his life would be the most amazing roller coaster ride he would ever have. He would tell you that he loved school. He loved seeing his friends and reading and writing. He loved being at Old Orchard in general. But after K1, he left to go to his local public school. Even today, he can tell you it just wasn't the same. He realized then, in K2, that Old Orchard was one of a kind. And before the end of the year, I was home at Old Orchard again. If we fast forward a little while to first grade, I was having so much fun reading and, of course, learning about baseball. We also hatched chicks in school, which I think I speak for everyone when I say that was amazing. In second grade, I remember the field trip to Pizza My Heart, where I got to make my own custom pizza. Third grade me was also having a blast raising some more animals of his own. Miss Lum made learning about metamorphosis so much fun by letting us each raise silkworms. I will always remember that day I became a father. Of silkworms. I was also excited to get the chance to share my love of reading with my reading buddy. Fourth grade was made special by our class trip to Coloma. To this day, I can still feel the freezing cold of that river and the rush you got when you found a tiny flake of gold. What I'm trying to say is that no other school does it quite like us. In fifth grade, I remember my last day of elementary school. I remember the feeling I had being so close to leaving this place. Now I feel like that only worse. Over the last 3 years of middle school, I've taken so many things for granted. If you ask at the beginning of the year, I would have loved the idea of all tests disappearing and no more homework. But as I completed my last final at OOS, turned in my last math test, finished my last homework, I hated watching it go. Before I go, I would like to thank some people who have made my time at Old Orchard unforgettable. Thank you to Miss Coleman and Miss Schmuck for never letting me get lazy in my math work. Never, ever letting me get lazy in my math work. I will continue those habits on in high school, and I have you to thank for that. Thank you to Miss Shea for helping instill in me my love of reading, and for bringing your dog Chewy to brighten up our finals week. Thank you to Senora Garia, Maestro Velez, and Senor Diaz for helping me make it into Spanish 2 in high school. Gracias por todo. Thank you to Miss Wright and Miss Italia for making our guidance group a blast. Now, to whoever thought it was a good idea to lock a bunch of moody teenagers in a room to talk about feelings on a Friday was a good idea, it worked out in the end. Thank you, Mr. Paris, for always joking with us about whatever we were learning about, making class fun and engaging. Thank you, Mr. Ainoa, for making physics fun, which I think is a pretty hard task, because if I want to throw a ball, I'll throw it, regardless of what Newton says. I would like to thank my parents for helping shape me into who I am today, as well as sticking with me through my incredible journey and being there to guide me when I needed it, and, feeding me along the way. Thank you to my sister Jaden for always being there, right there, lurking there, appearing there when I'm not doing what I'm supposed to. And lastly, I would like to thank all of you in the audience and all the grades doing songs. I understand sitting in a hot, stuffy church is no one's idea of fun, but I can say on behalf of my class that we really appreciate it. And now for my class. Oh boy, where to begin? The number of memories and stories I could share could fill an entire essay. But very briefly, I would like to thank you guys for everything you have done. Thank you for being the craziest, loudest, kindest, funniest group of people who I am so lucky to say I got to grow up with. To Ben and Desi, you made my trip to Spain so much fun. From feeding chickens to passing out on a table after a whole cup of Spanish hot chocolate, we will always have España. Thank you, Ari and Nico, for dominating the 8th grade quote board with lyrical wonders such as Pinkity Drinkity and Ree. Thank you to Colby for your sarcasm. I aspire to be on your level. Enoch, thank you for joining the basketball team when we desperately needed players. We may have lost a lot, but we still had fun. Thank you, Olivia, Victoria, and Amanda, for always making me feel like I'm not studying hard enough. Thank you, Isabel and Naomi, for always matching my craziness and making sure I knew the homework. Thank you, Andrew, for making Crow Canyon fun and for dancing and blaring music at 11:30 p.m. Lastly, thank you, Alex, for always being a good friend and saying things to make us all laugh. Now, if 8th grade Eric were to say something to 6-year-old Eric, I would say, the next 10 years of your life are going to be crazy. You'll go through the ups and downs of any good story, but looking back on it all, I wouldn't change a thing. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Amanda, and I would say that my 3 years at Old Orchard were the 3 most memorable in my life, but I'd prefer not to lie. As some of you may know, I am a very petty person. So when I decided to read the speech of someone I am genetically related to, I was aghast to find that I wasn't mentioned by name. So to be petty, I'll do the exact same thing. To quote my sister, see, I'm petty. Now is the point where you are free to stop paying attention. You may fall asleep if you like. However, I would like to ask that you don't snore too loud, if sleep is the option you choose. Now comes the boring part. Thank you, parents, for driving me to and from school every day because the law makes you, even though I'd rather just stay at home. Thank you to my teachers, because even though I complained about homework and classwork and quizzes and tests and projects, I really did enjoy your classes, I think. Thank you to my classmates for putting up with me for 3 years. I really am sorry for being weird, but you're part of the reason I am so weird, so really it's your fault, not mine. Why do I even need to thank you? Thank you, Alta, my darling baby, for always being there to lick me whenever you want to, and to make sure I'm not holed up in my room for too long. Also, thank you for just being adorable. It's what you do best. Thank you, Victoria, for never running out of dumb things to say, like your math, or other dumb things, like I'm a banana. Please remember, an A- isn't a bad grade, because God forbid, you could get much worse, like a B. Thank you, Isabel, for just being you, and not letting me change it, no matter how hard I tried. Your weird sayings, like slap me some skin, will be stuck with me forever. Not that that's a good thing. And remember, sarcasm won't win you anything. Thank you, Naomi, for never ceasing to do dumb things, like play episode or scroll through Pinterest. As you said, what do you call a ranting monkey? A orangutan. And remember that most people won't understand you, but that doesn't mean you should stop being yourself. Or maybe you should to be considered normal. Or maybe you want to stay weird. What do I know? Thank you, Olivia, for generally being the calm and collected member of the group. And you need to learn that not every situation calls for a but what if. So please, if you learn one thing from your time at Old Orchard, have it be that not everything needs to be questioned. Thank you, Colby, for always trying to be positive and saying the darnest things at the randomest times. Like, why can't we just take the ITBS next week when we can't take it? Don't worry, everyone agrees with you. Just so you know, you're a big snake anaconda. Well, you may be a Plutonian. What do I know about the people of Pluto? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And with that, I'll end my 3 years at Old Orchard with a word I may have said once or twice, but never really embodied the spirit of. Re.
Thank you, Lorraine, for helping me with my voice. Really helped, thanks. I wrote my second letter to Eric. Dear Eric, first of all, I want to apologize for making comments about your height quite often. I just can't help it. It seems like you grow an inch or two every time I'm not watching. This is the only apology you'll get from me, though, and I feel better already for getting this off my back right now. Let's move on from here. Eric, energetic, respectful, intelligent, caring. You love to have a good time, but also know it's time to settle down and get to work. Please give Andrew some lessons. As my math student, I've witnessed tremendous growth, no pun intended, over the past couple of years. While it is difficult to teach middle school students common sense, you, Eric, have surprised me with your attention to detail along with your critical thinking. While studying functions in algebra, I asked the class if anybody could tell me what the zeros of a function really mean. You, Eric, answered without hesitation. I was so thrilled and excited that I rewarded you with your favorite candy bar. You've stated that your favorite subjects are history and language arts, and you've done very well in those areas. Certainly, we do not need the entire world to pursue math, or even love it, although I would enjoy it. But I do want to point out that you have amazing critical thinking skill, as well as ways of analyzing concepts at a high level. Apparently, I'm not the only person who sees your math potential. After all, you're accepted to MIDI with math honors. What a wonderful accomplishment. One question I have for you: how do you stay so thin? Your mom has treated staff to so many delicious desserts and scrumptious dishes, and I'm sure some extras were consumed by you and Jaden at home. The other day, Miss Wright and I made a comment that we were both so happy for you to graduate from Old Orchard, but so thankful to have Jaden for 2 more years. And yes, Jaden, we love you, but we do think that the food is a nice perk. Eric, you have a great sense of humor. I can see that when you're hanging out with your classmates during some downtime. The apple definitely does not fall far from the tree. About 2 weeks ago, you showed up to school on crutches due to a bad landing while playing basketball. Just last Friday, during our 6th grade versus staff water balloon dodgeball game, Jaden twisted her ankle. When your dad came to pick her up at the end of the day, he made a comment, "Well, it's a good thing we already bought the crutches." You will be a freshman at MIDI in August. I hope that you will continue to play basketball. I know you love the game and also enjoy coaching very young players. Remember, the crutches will be there in case one of your physical landings is not perfect, but I'm quite sure that all other landings at MIDI will be near perfect. With much love, Miss Coleman.
My letter is to Amanda. Dear Amanda, I think you'd like us to believe that you're petty and grumpy, and Mr. Fredrickson with a well-documented disdain for humanity, without which there would finally be a utopia, and for us lesser mortals whom you take great pleasure in demoralizing, as we are incapable of devouring, what's the number now, 100 books per year? And, I dare say, beating Hannah's record. But I also think that underneath that craggy, crusty exterior is a Lindy who still believes in her scrappy cap, now evolved over the past 3 years into our very own Penelope Garcia, who commands the Office of Unmitigated Superiority, also known as the Office of Unfettered Omniscience, and the Fount of All Knowledge, check my flow. I know you've heard this many times from everyone, that you're outstanding, amazing, rarefied, but what does the opinion of the entire rest of the Earth population matter if you don't believe it? I've been so lucky to watch your words and poetry blossom like a fireball over the years, though the undercurrent has stayed the same. Amanda, I wish I could do something about that shadowy presence, that stalker of hope and innocence that lick like hellfire at the margins of your words. I know you've fought many times with that serpent voice that tells you that you're not enough, that distort your face in the mirror, that seems to be the only voice that matters when everyone else is shouting the exact opposite. I hope that you'll continue to grow and feel the sun warm on your face, the pleasure of doing nothing for a day, a week, or more, and being perfectly happy with yourself. I hope that when you close your eyes, you are the one smiling up at the world, seeing the beauty hidden between the leaves of the trees and underneath the flower petals covered with the dew of tears. You don't cry because that once was and still is you. As you continue on to Notre Dame, forging your way through Wangdoodle land, I'll wait here for you. And when you have seen the Wangdoodle, that is yourself, turned every color of the rainbow, come back and tell me all about your journey. My best wishes to you, dearest Amanda. Love, Ms. Shea.
I now have the pleasure of inviting forward speakers Enoch Chang and Ben Gleixner.
Hello, my name is Enoch, and I have been at Old Orchard School for 4 years. At Old Orchard, I have learned a lot and grown as a person. When I first came to the school, I was impressed by how much time and effort the teachers would spend to help their students. Many teachers have helped me countless times and given me helpful advice. Thank you, Ms. Coleman, for always reminding me to show my work and take more time per problem and not to do my homework like I am catching a train. Thank you, Ms. Shea, for helping my writing skills improve by adding more literary devices and sparkly adjectives. Thank you, Ms. Shagaria, for finally helping us learn to conjugate past tense verbs, and Mr. Paris for making history class a little bit more exciting. And of course to Ms. Bonnie for all her effort and hard work helping me on my high school essays and letter. I would also like to thank my classmates for talking, helping, and laughing with me. You guys gave me so many memorable experiences that will always hold a place in my heart. Thank you, Alex, Eric, and Andrew for making me laugh, Isabel for sharing her food with the class, and Desi for seriousness and quietness. And most of all, thank you, Mom and Dad, for driving me to school and helping me with my homework and giving me important advice on how to handle situations. I will always miss the lively atmosphere of Old Orchard, but I am looking forward to my next 4 years at Bellarmine. Thank you guys again for listening to my speech.
Hi, I'm Ben, and I've been going to Old Orchard since K2. My time at OOS has really been fun, and I know I'm going to miss it when I go to high school. One of the things that makes Old Orchard special is the teachers. From Miss Lum teaching us about the human body with Jell-O, to Miss Shea teaching us Shakespeare by having us make our own skits for each act, the teachers always find a way to make us want to learn by making class fun, interactive, and exciting. And of course, Old Orchard has some of the most amazing non-core curricular teachers and staff members. Whether it's Mr. Russell and Miss Washington, who are by far some of the best artists and art teachers out there, any of the staff who still find a way to make a positive impact on each day, or Miss Bonnie, who as an awesome creative writing class was a huge help with high school applications and wins the gold medal for putting up with our class in Crow Canyon. Another one of the things that makes Old Orchard special is how small the classes are. In my time here, I've really gotten to learn a lot about everyone in my class. There have been so many special moments, like in 5th grade when we threw eggs off the roof to learn about science, or in 7th grade when we met a balloon-selling Peppa Pig in Spain, or more recently, I remember cruising down the San Juan River in Utah while Andrew sang the national anthem at the top of his lungs on our 8th grade trip to Crow Canyon. Everybody in my class has interesting characters, whether it's Colby, professional war murderer, jokester, and friend, or Amanda, who is overpowering with sassiness. After years of seeing everybody 5 days a week, you really get used to even the strangest quirks. I could list everyone's talents and traits, but I only have 3 minutes tops. I really do enjoy each and every one of the people in my class for who they are, and I know that in some way I'll miss them in high school. And of course, I will mention 6th and 7th grade for always being able to play Kahoot when we had a science test. By this part, the audience is bored, and anyone on the stage who doesn't care because they've already been mentioned. However, it wouldn't be an OS grad speech unless I thanked my parents and kind of mentioned my siblings. So I would like to thank my parents for always being supportive, kind, helpful, and for sending me to OS in the first place. And I would like to thank my siblings because my older sister thanked me and my younger brother is going to thank me whether he wants to or not. It would be a lie to say that I'm not ready for high school, but that still doesn't mean I won't miss the special, fun, awesome, silly, and wonderful moments that I've spent here.
Hello. I have two letters. First letter is to Enoch, and followed by Ben. A week ago, I sat in front of my computer preparing to write you a letter. Many disjointed thoughts rolling around my head, and one of them was about the Rube Goldberg project. More specifically, Enoch, my thoughts went to two very brief conversations I had with you about your project. I'm sure you know which one I'm referring to. To refresh your memory, the second of two conversations went like this. Mr. Ainoa, Enoch, how's your project coming along? Enoch, I have no idea, Mr. Ainoa. This is a week before it's due. So I replied, you know that's a really bad answer, right? Enoch, in the future, when you're at your job and your boss asks you how your project is going along, you say it's going just fine. In other words, Enoch, you fake it till you make it. You got to remember that conversation. But here's the key. You got to make it. As I thought through this exchange, I wondered, how is Enoch spending his time? What could possibly be more fun than building this machine that you could choose to do that, whatever that may be, instead of the machine? Then, Enoch, it hit me. It's a choice. You choose to do the things that you enjoy, and you choose to avoid the things you don't enjoy. Of course. That makes total sense to me. Then my mind flashed to one of our early conversations in our mentoring groups. At the beginning of the year, we were diligently preparing goals for our parent-teachers conference. And you had mentioned to me, with a level of confidence I might add, that math was easy for you, but science is more difficult. I have to be honest, Enoch, I thought, well, I'll have to fix that. I'm not sure if I fixed it, or if I was successful in getting you to like science, or see science as easy. But I believe that's an incorrect assessment. Why do I say that, you ask? Again, it's a choice. You choose to focus your time on the things that matter to you, and I get that. All of us, teachers, students, parents alike, all face choices every day. It's a fact of life. I've had people tell me that you have talent and skills as a piano player and a chess player too. You do realize that your talent and skills did not come by chance. But it's through dedication and perseverance. But even before that, at some point early on, Enoch, it started with a choice to invest your time in these endeavors. You choose to be good at something. You made the necessary adjustments in your life to achieve your goals. And you know what? That's perfect. This is all good stuff, but remember that choices are small branches in the road that are not always, shall I say, optimal. You know, like choosing to work on non-science homework in science class. Not optimal. And who forget your choice not to participate in the Old Orchard Talent Show? What's up with that? You do know that having you participate in the talent show was highly anticipated by more than a few people. But hey, next year, huh? Don't worry. I just happen to know some people who know the people that run the talent show, and we can get you hooked up. So Enoch, Bellarmine next year. Awesome sauce, Enoch. Oh, and FYI, there's lots of choices to be made at Bellarmine too. So choose wisely, and don't forget to stop by and say hi every now and then. Mr. Ainu. This letter is to Ben. Ben, it's been a pleasure having you in chemistry and physics this year. I like the way you participated in class, mostly at the right moments. That's very important, you know. You have been diligent in turning in your work on time, which, by the way, is a thing that many people repeatedly fail at throughout life. So kudos to you. And you have this sense of humor that you've learned to obscure, slipping in a quip here, a subtle quip there. Just remember, Ben, timing is everything. There's good timing, and then there's bad timing. To quip or not to quip? That's the question, Ben. Speaking of bad timing, Ben, to drop a witticism, oh, let's say when you're going through airport security and those pesky metal detectors. Gosh, I hate it when those things go off, don't you? Now, that will be a bad time for Woody Ben to make an appearance. Speaking of airport security, word got out that one of the legs to or from Crow Canyon, you got hung up at the checkpoint. And they had to do the pat down. Shh, Woody Ben, shh. Bad timing. Here's the things that get me, though. I understand that it was the jeans that you were wearing that had tripped the security system. Yeah, I've had that happen to me before. Same thing, button-up flies. Am I right? Trips them all the time. Button-up flies. It's like a trigger word for airport security folks. All of a sudden, they get all interactive and touchy. And they get in your space. So if you know what I mean, it's a learning experience. Yep, told myself not to wear them when flying. You know, I bet those are your favorite jeans, huh? Because apparently these same jeans tripped security at least once before. Okay, all I have to say is 3 trials. Ben, you must run and collect data for at least 3 trials to check to see if you have consistency in your data. Right? So what do you think? Data pretty consistent so far? Here's a tip. Skip the 3rd trial and let somebody else entertain airport security. Science, back to science. I think science suits you. I notice you like building stuff too. 6th grade, science project was about designing big ships. In 7th grade, you built towers, then studied how to break them. And your Rube Goldberg project, the egg cracking inator. Dude, that thing was just a little bigger. Folks from San Francisco might confuse it for a condo. So scientist or builder of things, it's all good. In closing, I like the path you're on, Ben. You're diligent, responsible, you get your work done. These character traits will carry you far in life. Today, your circle expands to include Bellarmine, and in 4 years, it'll grow again. There are lots to learn in the next 4 years and things to discover about yourself and your expanding world. One piece of advice I can share with you is the world is full of awesome people who can help you be the best Ben possible. Find them, build your network. Good luck to you, and I hope to see you around campus every now and then, Mr. I Know.
All right, now I'd like to invite 3rd grade forward. And while they're coming forward, I'd like to share that I've spotted another graduate in the audience. You can sit in the back, but you cannot hide, Eliam Chang. I now have the pleasure of inviting forward Ari Brazlovsky and Nico Duicki.
Hi there, I'm Ari Brazlovsky, and I think I ought to keep this short. It has been a great 3 years of life in middle school, but now my life has led me all the way to high school. My middle school teachers have been really generous, and I am grateful for the teachers who have taught me so much. It has been a hard 3 years, but I feel I have finally prevailed. Miss Coleman, you have always helped me through the hardships in your class, like understanding that factoring method and solving word problems. Miss Shea, you have done a great job in teaching me how to write poetry, flash fiction, sonnets, and honestly, the whole list would take me a long time to tell you. Oh yeah, and you should bring your dogs a bit more often to school. Mr. Paris, you were a great history teacher, and you encouraged and motivated me to learn about history. Mr. Aino and Miss Birch, you have taught me a lot about science, like how weather works, how the human body functions, all the way to chemistry and physics. I would also like to thank Ms. Igaria and Mr. Diaz, who is not attending today, for teaching me Spanish. I would also like to thank the teachers who taught electives, Miss Washington for art and stop motion, Mr. Casey for 3D printing and digital video, and Mr. Galvez for improv and plays. These last 3 years at Old Orchard have been wonderful, and it's been a long journey so far, and I can't wait to get to high school. I would also like to give a special thanks to my parents, because if it weren't for them, I wouldn't have gone to this school. My parents have helped me bit by bit, and I'm very grateful for that. It's been a great pleasure. Thank you all so much.
Hello, my name is Nico Duicki. I've only been at Old Orchard for 3 years, but that didn't stop me from having fun here. I'd like to thank all the teachers and my parents for helping me get through high school and helping me when I was in 8th. Thank you to Miss Cullen, Miss Shea, and Miss Bonnie for any recommendations for me and helping with my high school essays and getting me ready for high school. Thank you to Mr. Ainoa and Miss Birch for teaching me about the scientific world. Thank you to Miss Shea for making my writing skills that much better and helping me write this speech. Thank you to Miss McGilvery for making me grammar better. Thank you to Mr. Paris for teaching me interesting historical facts. Thank you to Ms. Igaria and Senor Diaz for improving my Spanish vocabulary. Thank you to my dad for helping me study for major tests with my science project and finals. And my mom for helping me with essays and getting through time management. Now I would like to thank my classmates for making my theories at Old Orchard that much more enjoyable. Thanks, Eric, for being a wonderful class genius, Colby for always cracking puns, Alex for teaching me who a beta male is, Isabel for always making me laugh, Naomi for always being a big dingo, Enoch for helping me with projects, Ben for knowing when to say the right joke, Andrew for being a joy to my ears, and Desi for finally shaving his mustache. I have had a wonderful 3 years with all of you, and I can't wait to continue the joy with the 6 of you that are coming with me with committee. I wish everybody in this class good luck in their next 4 year at high school, and to the other classes here to come. Thank you.
Hi, I'm writing the letter to Ari. Dear Ari, it is an honor and a joy to be here today to read this letter to you. You have been at Old Orchard School since first grade, so you know this school and its greeting codes more than I do. I wish I could have watched you playing at the Dino Island, digging or playing, or seen any performances you may have had in theater or music productions. Memories I'm sure are vivid in your parents' hearts, as well as documented in the yearbooks. But I have been teaching you for 9 months now, and I've also asked other teachers and staff, and I have the sense that I know you well. I know you love World War II tanks. I've seen you make samples with paper in my own class. I'm sorry now that I haven't kept them as proof. Mr. Galvez told me you made a beautiful plain book in 5th grade, and I read your 1st grade letter inspired by Martin Luther King. You'll be an excellent waiter if you put your mind on it. Please, go ahead and make the world a better place through good food. And by the way, class is over now, but I just wanted to clarify that every time I said, write a paragraph about, and you politely raise your hand and ask me, do we have to do it in Spanish? Yes, I meant in Spanish as we were in the Spanish class. I would like to share the happiest memory that I have of you this year. It was your actual real birthday. You were carrying a gigantic plate of sweets and treats, and you shared with everyone, including me. And you had a smile bigger than the plate. You're about to leave what it is your second home, your home away from home. Keep all the good memories tight and close to your heart. You should feel very good about yourself, accomplished and excited about the future and all the opportunities that lay ahead of you. But if you need advice, or you want to share some news, or if you just miss us, we'll always be here for you. All the staff and teachers who taught and loved you for most of your life, please come and say hola from time to time. Con mucho cariño, señora Yagaria.
This letter is for Nico. Dear Nico, anyone who spends any amount of time around you knows that you are really, really, really into cars. I personally am no car expert, so my letter to you begins with a little research into cars. There is no clear inventor of the automobile, as history shows that many individuals contributed to this invention throughout the years, including Leonardo da Vinci and Isaac Newton. Most credit is given to Carl Benz, who came up with the first gasoline-powered internal combustion engine automobile. Carl Benz came from a poor family in Germany, but he prioritized education and was admitted to college at 15 years of age and finished with a mechanical engineering degree. Carl was a great innovator. He developed many of the parts in car engines today, such as spark plugs, gear shifters, and carburetors. While Carl may have been a creative genius, it was his wife who was able to market the need for a motorized vehicle. Their partnership was successful until the 1920s, when the struggling German economy and a competition caused a merger between two car companies. Why do I bring up all of this car history in your letter, you may be asking? Well, as I see it, Mr. Benz had some valuable character traits that I also see in you, Nico. First of all, he showed curiosity about riding bikes and engine development. You are also interested in these things. In fact, that is something you enjoy doing as a hobby. Knowing how to work on cars is a valuable life skill. My own father taught me how to change the oil and tires on my car as a teenager. Although I did not value it at the time, I was grateful for that education more than once when I had a flat tire over the years. Keep up your training and understanding of how things work in bikes, cars, and engines. I wish I knew less about my car so that I could spend more money at the mechanic, said no one ever. Mr. Benz persisted at school and at work, pushing through obstacles and adjusting to new situations. Nico, you also persevere at school and in music. I recently had the opportunity to attend the first ever Old Orchard School Talent Show and listen to you play your guitar. I was mesmerized. I have always admired individuals that learn to play an instrument, as it takes many years of practice in order to perfect. You've been playing for more than 8 years and it shows. I hope you continue to practice, and maybe someday I will see you on a big stage with your name on the marquee. In the fall of your 7th grade year, there were multiple wildfires throughout California. Curious about the air quality index that news reporters use to advise local residents, you showed innovative thinking when you attempted to measure the particulate in the air for your science project that year. Carl Benz knew his limitations and worked towards forging new alliances with fellow engineers and visionaries of the time. You also collaborate and get along well with your peers. Ms. Coman recently told me how you expressed your enthusiasm for archaeology at Crow Canyon. A dig site such as the one at Crow Canyon requires teamwork and adaptability. Mr. Benz and his wife worked together to create a successful business, and ultimately, Carl Benz united with Daimler to create the Mercedes-Benz company that is still around nearly 100 years later. Nico, you can achieve all this too. Keep your curiosity, persistence, creativity, cooperative attitude, and flexibility. Perhaps you will create the next big thing in the automotive industry. There may be some bumps and curves along the road to success, but there is no speed limit or map. Good luck at Archbishop Mitty. Sincerely, Mrs. Birch.
All right, I'm going to seize my opportunity while I have it and invite Renee Switkus to come forward. So we spoke all about you before I realized that you weren't actually able to get here yet. But as I mentioned at the top of our ceremony, Renee is stepping down for a well-deserved rest after several years as a president of the Old Orchard Service League, as well as being a very active board member over the years and pretty much being present whenever we've needed her. So with apologies to Rich, who didn't actually get flowers, we want to give you some beautiful flowers. And we also want to give you and John a little time to yourselves at a nice restaurant. And I know you don't really like to come forward, and I've dragged you, and I didn't even tell you that Melissa refused. That it is possible, so thank you ever so much. I don't know if you have anything you'd like to say. You don't have to, but you may.
It's been a pleasure, and I enjoyed the school so much, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm just stepping down from a big role.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much. And now I'd like to invite 4th and 5th grades forward.
I've been thinking, I want you to be happier. I want you to be happier. The morning comes, let's see what we become. In the blood they were flames, and we're not the fire that we begun. Every hour you meant, every word we can't take back. In the time that has happened, I think we will know the way the story ends. And then all the morning, I want to change my mind, 'cause this just don't feel right to me. I want to make your spirit. I want to see you smile, but nobody's all happy.
course, fifth grade is stepping up to the middle school next year, so we won't see them around here as much. Very sad. I'd like to take just a minute to invite everybody to stand and stretch in place. Please don't wander off, but you know. And the graduates can have a drink of water. Do not leave the stage. Class of 2019 speakers, Alex Hageman and Isabel Lippman.
I think Michael Scott said it best when he so wisely stated, "Sometimes I'll start a sentence and I don't even know where it's going. I just hope I find it somewhere along the way." So hold on, because this is exactly what this speech is going to be. But I'll try to get through the boring parts first. So I'd like to thank my dad for teaching me to use all his power tools so I didn't fail science. And I'd like to thank my mom for always being on campus, always. I would also like to thank my friends for striking the perfect balance between friendship and utter annoyance. Thank you to my brother for supplying me with great advice, such as, I don't know, I'm just gonna move on. And I would also like to thank all of Old Orchard, because although I never fully appreciated it when I was younger, looking back now at my time, I've realized that the amount of support given from every staff member is unmatched by any other school. Now I'd like to go more in depth about my class. Each person in our class has their own thing. Desi had a mustache. Eric is tall. Amanda's very good at poking people. And Ben knows at least one random fact about every single random country. So yeah, we're pretty weird. And I have to say, all of you that are going to different high schools next year, I'm gonna miss you. So thank you for providing me with 10 years of friendship and big Reese.
Hello. I'm Isabel, and I've been at Old Orchard for 8.5 years, and I don't think I could have had a better experience. I was in kindergarten when I switched schools. We'd been looking around at schools for a while, but when my mom showed me Old Orchard, I didn't want to go here at all. Now, the only reason for this was that my mom told me about the Spanish program here. I didn't know a word of Spanish, and when I heard about how the students take Spanish classes every day, my 6-year-old brain immediately thought that meant everyone spoke Spanish all the time. I remember looking at the website and seeing a picture of a girl getting hot lunch from someone at a table, and I just remember thinking, oh God, is she ordering in Spanish? But regardless of my worries, I came and I shadowed for 3 days in Miss Danny's K2 class. When I came home, I couldn't stop talking about how I loved everything about the school, and throughout my time here, I've only grown to love it more. Excuse me. Now, first I'd like to thank my teachers for not only putting up with the interesting things this class says and does, but for also not asking what ligma means. Thank you all for willingly answering our never-ending amount of questions and for pushing through the struggle of teaching us every day. Next, I would like to thank my parents for always supporting me, even when I was being ridiculous, which looking back was pretty often. I'd like to thank my siblings, even though really what they've done for me over the years is just laugh at me, but don't worry, I laughed at them too. And finally, I'd like to thank my class. I've made a lot of memories, and with this class, I was never bored. Throughout the years I spent at Old Orchard, we've made tons of memories. We've even had a funeral for a magnet. We most recently had a trip where we went to an archaeological site in Colorado, and it was quite an experience, to put it lightly. I learned a lot, including the fact that the San Juan River in Utah will practically give you frostbite if you stick your head into it. Miss Bonnie loves iced tea, and apparently losing sweatshirts is my superpower. Not only have we made great memories, we've also had many interesting debates. I like to think that I won them all, but my class seems to think otherwise. I like to think we've argued about whether the stuff you put on pancakes is pronounced syrup or syrup. It's syrup. And we've also debated about the fact that if you are hungry and from Hungary, the country, it is just a coincidence. That is one argument I'm sure I won. Throughout my good and bad times at this class, there is no doubt that we all have grown a lot. Colby used to wear such big sunglasses that you couldn't see half of his face. Victoria now gets out of the car through her door and not the door farthest from her. And Naomi has taken bold strokes with her hair and it's turned out great. But as much as we've grown, the things we say are still pretty silly. A couple of months ago, Ari called me a pesto, and Andrew continues to bless us, as people have said, with his high-pitched singing of the national anthem. Regardless, I don't think I could have asked for a better experience and more hilarious class. I will really miss you all, and for the people I will continue to go to school with, if you don't say hi to me in the halls, I'm going to be really annoyed. So thank you to everyone who has made my elementary and middle school experience as amazing as it has been. Thank you.
This first letter is for Alex. When I think of you, Alex, the first thing that comes to mind is the bright, hopeful, optimistic light in your eyes and that happy-go-lucky smile that is part of your natural sense of charm. It's that charm you have that, for example, worked so well in your leadership as one of the student ambassadors at our Old Orchard School open house events. Some of your friends have described you as being lots of fun. Fun with a capital F-U-N. Alex is fun to be around. Alex is lots of fun. We've had lots of fun times and good times together with Alex and so on. Now, I remember way back in 5th grade when I cast you and a buddy of yours, Eric Brown, as the famous sibling duo Tweedledee and Tweedledum in our production of Alice in Wonderland. I should have known what I would be in for over the next 3 years plus of performances and improv drama classes with you. You both came up with a lot of physical humor and smart silliness, leapfrogging over each other and jumping on each other's backs, strangely funny laughter and more inventiveness that at times went beyond the stop button being pushed. But you also went on to play Robin in Batman the play, and the overly concerned with his hair Dana in Ghostbusters the play. And I appreciate how the good-natured quality you possess always shined through. And once again, your charm or your charming personality has always been there. But what's way more important to me, Alex, is your character quality, or your character qualities that go beyond the limitations of charm. And in our conversations over the years, I've admired your basic, unwavering sense of human decency, your sense of right and wrong, your willingness to help someone when called upon, or even when you aren't called to do so. You simply jump in and do it. I know you love or hold a special place in your heart for the TV show The Office and its humorous look at all things inappropriate in and out of the workplace. I feel that you see the humor, but your sense of decency knows it isn't how people should treat each other. In fact, you are more giving than the lead characters in that series. For example, when you come to campus in after-school aftercare, the younger lower school youth flock to you as well as your brother Kai. Alex, the kids hang off of you and you help them swing or play basketball with them, and you make them feel really good about themselves. After a long school day, you could easily say, "No, I'm busy, I've got a lot of homework." But instead, you give fully of yourself. And every time I see this, I always say to myself, "Man, Alex is a good guy." Now, I do remember a time when you started middle school, and that bright light of optimism in your eyes began to dim, and that smile turned to be a bit of a frown sometimes in making that adjustment from lower to upper school. It was a little worrisome. But you know, recently I asked your parents, what's the one thing they admire about you the most? And the main word that came up was resilience. That strength to somehow get up again after being knocked down and challenged, moving forward. I'm sure you have this in some of your activities like skiing, surfing, and water polo, just to name a few. But I remember looking up one day, and all of a sudden the light in your eyes and that optimistic spirit returned and never looked back. Alex, whatever challenges and good times, fun times you will face in high school at Bellarmine, I know that your sense of optimism will always be there, and your resilience will keep you moving forward, reaching your dreams. I will miss you, Alex, and I wish you all the very best. This one is for Isabel. Wow, Isabel, or shall we say with your other moniker, Isa, I actually cannot believe that we have reached this grand point in your life as you are about to leave Old Orchard School, which has been a great home that has been good to you, and you have been great towards making this home a better place. One, as a Distinguished Scholar Award winner you received in 7th grade, Citizen of the Year Award in 6th grade, and serving as a class representative, just to name a few. The Isabel, I recall, goes back to 5th grade as well, when it was your class's turn to rehearse and perform the play Alice in Wonderland. It was here where you were cast as the Mad Hatter. You perfectly captured the Hatter's craziness to the max, putting an indelible spin on the character while hinting at something deeper in her personality. And oh, how you made that indelible spin on the character when in the mad tea party scene, all of a sudden, you began stepping on the little prop teacups, saucers, and spoons, even kicking them into the audience, a bit going crash, boom, bam, crash again. But it worked. I said two things to myself that day. One, well, I guess I'm going to have to buy more teacup sets to survive the play. And is Isabel just plain good, or is she just plain crazy? After the day of performances, I answered my own question, saying, Isabel is really talented. Yes, she's really good. And a bit crazy, of course, too. But it takes a special kind of quality, not crazy per se, but constant and consistent creativity and inventiveness which you possess. Your talent and drive is boundless. It takes that special kind of talent and creativity to see yourself through playing the Joker in our Batman the Play, and the sly, witty, nutty, offsetted humor of Dr. Venkman in Ghostbusters the Play, with some of your fellow classmates like Naomi and Olivia and beyond. Your roles are far from confined to the ones that you've done on stage, be it plays, opera, or choral singing. I mean the roles you live in your life as daughter to your lovely parents, Old Orchard student and teammate in your volleyball and basketball events, tearing it up on the court, and of course, in your role as friend. Some of your friends, and you certainly do have great friends, they've all told me how much they appreciate how you automatically make the people around you feel comfortable and welcome. I have to attest to this. When I first came to Old Orchard School, you indeed made a new teacher like me feel welcome and glad to be part of this community. And your teachers admire your drive and determination to see any project or activity all the way through. And your thoughtfulness, your sincerity, your steadiness, your calm, your generous spirit to help and make everything in the world around you better is always present. I always recall the numerous times you tactfully asked if we could make changes in our productions within a song, a scene, or anything regarding our plays. Like, Mr. Galvez, may I suggest this? Mr. Galvez, me and Olivia, Naomi, and Victoria would like to suggest this, Mr. Galvez. Mr. Galvez, what if we did that? Sometimes these questions would turn into mini brainstorming sessions. And I admire your persistence because it helped me to be a better director, person, and human being to listen. And oftentimes, our plays were better as a result. Now, I understand that at Crow Canyon it was said that you have the ability to become a great and serious archaeologist if you really wanted to be. I believe you could do this, Isabel. And anything you really want in your heart of hearts, you can become. If I may, I'd like to take a few moments just to read a few lines from a letter to yourself that she wrote in class several years ago. You said, I think it's hard enough moving to 4th grade, so it's going to be hard graduating from 8th. I think I will like math and science, but I will always love writing. I will always try to be resourceful and kind. Well, you certainly are resourceful and kind, among many, many other things. And Isabel, you were just steps away from graduating from 8th grade towards the new world of high school. You have the capacity, care, the compassion, inquisitiveness, the thirst for learning, and more to transform any place you go and to make the world a better place. Just like you did in the recent Old Orchard Talent Show with Naomi, singing the song Valerie from Amy Winehouse, you certainly know that no matter what, the show must go on. Well, Isabel, it's your show now, and one that will go on for many years in the most positive of ways. Like Alex and the whole of your class, I will miss you, and I do wish you all the best.
And now it's 6th grade's turn to come forward.
Mama said, fulfill the prophecy, be something great. Go make a legacy, manifest destiny. Back in the days we wanted everything, wanted everything. Mama said, don't give up, it's a little complicated. all tied up, no more love, and I'd hate to see you wait.
Now I'd like to invite Victoria McMillan and Olivia Wall to give their speeches.
How do you fit 8 years of memories into a 3-minute speech? I spent so much time thinking about what I want my speech to be. Would I make it funny or reminiscent? I still have no idea, and right now I'm delivering it to the whole school. I'm terrified beyond words, so here goes. Hi, my name is Victoria McMillan, and I've been here since 1st grade with most of these people behind me. I would love to stand up here and thank all of the people who have influenced my time at the school, but as I said before, I only have 3 minutes. First of all, I have to thank my parents. Without them, I'd probably be stuck in a class actually my age. From picking me up early and shipping me off to practice to helping me with homework on hard days, you guys are there for me for everything. I love you guys to the moon and the back. Secondly, I guess I have to thank my brother. Kyle, thank you for loving me even on the days that I'm stressed and annoyed. I love you even when I don't show it. I would like to give a special shout out to my grandmother who flew down here just to see me graduate 8th grade. I'd also like to thank my dog. Delta, you're an amazing pet. You are always there, no matter the day, the mood, or the circumstances. I hope that you're having fun adventures with your friends again, and I am happy that you aren't in pain anymore. Next, I'd like to acknowledge all of my teachers here at OOS. You guys have not only taught me things that I'll never need to know in my life, but have also brought me up to be who I am today. Thank you for being so understanding of my schedule and disciplining my classmates so I can actually hear myself think. Without you, I wouldn't be up here today delivering this speech. From hatching chicks in 1st grade, to the egg project in 2nd, to learning cursive in 3rd, to our first overnight trip in 4th, to the LEAP project in 5th, to rescuing us from our 6th grade science teacher, to our first finals in 7th, to croqueting in 8th, you guys were there for everything. Thank you for supporting us for so long, and for the last time, I apologize for the loudness of my class. And although they're not here right now, I'd like to thank my coaches and my teammates. Without gymnastics and their support, I would not be the person I am today. They have filled my heart with so much love and encouragement that it has inspired me to keep going. I love you so much, and I wouldn't be here without you. Lastly, I'd like to take a few moments to thank my class for, well, nothing really. I'm joking. Thank you, class of 2019, for countless inside jokes and unique memories. Amanda, thank you for pretty much being my babysitter and feeding me carrots. Olivia, I am very grateful for your understanding of my annoyance and sitting through my numerous rants about practice. Naomi, thank you for being so quirky and making me laugh harder than is probably good for me. You're also a cherry. Isabel, I will miss your everyday jokes in the halls and how you really made school feel like my third home. I think you can guess where my first and second homes are. Colby, I loved your interesting conversations at lunch. The rest of the boys, thank you for being boys. You really held our class together with your idiotic statements and ridiculous behavior. Class of 2019, you have been an incredible class to live, learn, and laugh with, though some of the times you guys are idiots. Actually, most of the time. I love you all so much. Thank you for an amazing 8 years.
Okay. So, as Ms. Bonnie stated, my name's Olivia, and originally I wasn't planning to do a speech, but as I started, I began to understand how Ms. Shea felt when she wrote our letters of recommendation. I don't envy her. I can still remember the time when I told my mom that I would never like writing or reading. That has obviously changed since now I have to thank Ms. Shea for inspiring my love for poetry. I still don't understand how you put up with my sarcastic comments and never-ending questions. On that note, I would like to thank Mr. Paris and Ms. McGillivray for attempting to answer all my questions, a tremendous feat in itself, and for being outstanding teachers. Since words are now failing me to explain Mr. Paris's amazingness, I'd be happy to explain tomorrow. Now, if you're looking for the best storyteller ever, then you need to head over to the math classroom with Ms. Kuman, who makes almost as many jokes as Alex. Almost. On the subject of math, I would like to thank Ms. Schmuck for teaching me about donkey bridges and the fundamentals of math. I will always be thankful for Mr. Ainoa and Ms. Birch, who have taught me that science is fascinating and that some questions can only be answered in high school. Maestra Lagaria has been an amazing teacher, not only for her commitment to teaching Spanish, but also for having an undeniable enthusiasm for the Spanish culture as well. Considering the fact that there was a time when I wouldn't want to sell lemonade out on the street because I didn't want to talk to people, I would say today is a pretty big achievement. And I have to give props to Mr. Galvez for helping me get enough confidence to go on stage. Now, obviously, I have to thank my family, who I love dearly, and also for feeding me, which, in case you don't know, that's pretty important. Doing absolutely nothing to help me get over my fear of soccer balls at my head. Yes, Ian and Mark, I'm talking about you. For always being willing to help, whether it's waking up way too early for any mortal soul, or studying with me from like 9:03 to 10:12 p.m. since I have a crazy swim schedule. And for working so hard to make all this happen. Ever since my first trip with you guys, I knew my years here would be filled with more memories than I can count, from going gold panning in Coloma, to speed hiking, to attempting to make fire in Colorado. But enough of that. Thank you, Colby, for teaching me my first Fryman prayer, and Drew for making sure I never, ever forget the national anthem, Victoria for bringing our classes to life with your energetic laugh, Isabel for making sure our lunches are never boring, Desi for being the calm within the storm, Amanda for always being willing to listen to me, even if it is one of my very long rants, Alex for giving us plenty of things to joke and debate about, Ben for keeping us all entertained with crazy facts about the world, Nico for telling me more about cars than I knew my whole life, Enoch for letting us listen to your abundance of stories, Naomi for making sure our days don't go without some lyric of some song, Eric for making sure at least one of Desi's things disappears each day, and finally, thank you, Ari, for matching my love for history, especially in relation to World War II. Now that you have all listened to my speech, I would like to acknowledge that some people couldn't be in the speech since the time limit on this speech is ridiculous, Miss Shea. I know that without many of the people in this room, I wouldn't have been able to survive these last years of my life here. For those of you that are starting or continuing your journey here, I wish you the best of luck. Thank you.
My first letter is for Victoria. Dear Victoria, when I first picked your name to write a letter for graduation, I imagined it would be an easy letter to write. You're ambitious, a good student, an athlete, and a hardworking. It would be simple to craft together a series of gracious good jobs and smiling high fives. However, when I first sat down at my computer to write this letter, I came to realize that maybe I was in for more of a difficult task than I had thought. I began to see that perhaps I was looking only at the surface of a much bigger ocean. I asked myself, did I really know Victoria? I know the gymnastics is a huge part of your life. I have never had an opportunity to see you compete. I can certainly never understand the work it must take, the constant practice and drilling that it must require. It must be filled with aches and sweat. I never see the sweat or the pain. What I do see is a student who turns in assignments far in advance to make sure she has time to do them. I see a person who makes it look easy as I thought when I began, and I realized I was only seeing a part of the story. I still think I'm only seeing a tiny little bit sticking out from a much bigger part below the surface. I am not sure if you fellow students truly saw all of Victoria either. I remember many occasions when you would apologize for your class being loud or crazy, or both. While you sometimes may have needed to apologize for your class, you never needed to apologize for yourself. I am not sure if they saw the thought you put into everything we did and how our class ran or didn't. Did they see the hard work you always put in and yet shrugged it off as though it were no big deal? Did they see the sweat that was not on the surface but below it? They may or may not have, but I certainly did. If the class was loud, then you were often quieter. Was this in reaction to those who wanted to talk more and share more? Or did you feel that you had done your work and did not need to do more? However, when appropriate, you did raise your hand and you did speak. Often, it was a surprising insight, and even more often, it was surprisingly sharp-witted. This is what I mean by what is below the surface. On your face is a bright and seemingly innocent smile, but what comes out of your mouth sometimes has the pointedness of an adult. Absolutely none of this is bad, Victoria. I like people who take a while to figure out. It is really like a gift to be unwrapped. I like noticing that people I am around have a huge depth to them that I had previously not realized. You are about to go on to a much bigger world than Old Orchard. You will meet people who only see the smile and the easygoing nature of a bright young woman. But those who dig deeper are going to be so lucky to know you, just as we have been fortunate here. They will get to truly know the hard worker. They will see the amazing person under the surface. And the people who take the time to crack the surface are the people truly worth knowing, because you can see the smiling face and say, Victoria is a nice person. You can look at your grades and say, Victoria is a good and diligent student. You can listen to your wry remarks and say, Victoria has a lovely sense of humor. But to be truly enriched and to go deeper, and I can say with certainty that knowing the vibrant, determined, and thoughtful Victoria is an experience worth having. We are going to truly miss you, Victoria. With love, Mr. Paris. My next letter is for Olivia. Dear Olivia, how did my first day of 5th grade begin with this class? With a question, of course. In my official teacher voice, I opened by saying, "Good morning, class. Today we will," and a hand pops up. I look over and see a bright-eyed student raising her hand while also studying a book or some notes she had made. "Yes? What is your name again?" While never exactly pulling herself from what she was reading, she said, "I'm Olivia, and I have a question." Perhaps not every class for the next 4 years began this way, but quite often they did begin with a question from that eager student who confidently announced her intention to learn as much about the world as we could provide. I never saw this as a, hey, it'd be nice to know, but as a, let's strip the world down into her component parts and see if we can put it back together kind of way. This made me think about questions. Are they not the beginning of all learning? Are they not the way in which the world begins? A woman, a long time ago, looked out into the world and asked, Why is the world like this? Why do the plants grow at certain spots in certain seasons? Why do people treat each other poorly because of how they look or believe? Then she asked, what would happen if we did this? What would happen if we planted this seed? What would happen if we tried this plant to heal a sickness? What would happen if we moved to this land? This woman asked these questions and remade the world. I will always remember the many questions you asked me about current state of politics and how impressed I was over your thoughtful ideas. I told myself, that young woman is going to be a senator. Then I immediately realized I should scratch that idea. I think she will be president. And honestly, I would vote for her right now. Might as well join the field, Olivia. I think everyone else has. But I'm pretty sure, Olivia, I have not joined the field, so sorry, not this year. In regards to politics, questions are how we hold those in power accountable. I know that you always ask, why is there a day for Christopher Columbus? And why do we use the Electoral College to elect the president? People in power hate being questioned. They will say there are dumb questions that they should not have to answer. Trust me, there are no dumb questions if they are meant to uncover the truth. I do hope that you never felt I was making fun of you when you raised your hand and said, I have a question. And I responded by saying, of course you do, Olivia. Because that is truly how I wanted every class to begin. I saw how you took every issue and swam deeper into it. I saw how you could carefully craft a thought and an argument. You're exactly the kind of student I want in my class, one who strips it into its component parts to see how it works. I think I quickly learned that my job was in some ways not to teach you, but to not hold you back. So what will you do tomorrow, Olivia, as you realize you have an entirely new world to explore and ask questions of? This is the question I want answered. This is the story I want to hear. I know that with your keen intellect and boundless curiosity, there really are no limits. Here is my message for you. The world is really only as limited as the questions we ask. So what is the question I want an answer to? I want to see the answer when you look out into the world and ask, what would the world be like if I did this? With much love, Mr. Campbell.
I now have the pleasure of inviting forward our rising 8th grade, better known as 7th grade.
May you have the confidence to always do your best. May you have no trouble in being generous, sharing what you can, nothing more, nothing less.
So we're going to switch it up a little bit because at our ceremonies, we always like to have our students giving the final speeches. And so Mrs. Washington stand-in, Sarah McGillivray, who has been a teacher to all of our graduates, is going to be delivering her speeches, which is an extra challenge because those of you who have been to previous graduations know that Mrs. Washington always writes her letters in the form of a poem. So an extra big hand to Ms. McGillivray.
All right, I'm going to start with an ode to Colby Worthington. What rhymes with Colby, I would like to know? It's something I've pondered of late. To end this poem with a rhyme of his name, I need something to make this verse great. Why do you ask, is that so important to me? Well, it has to represent Colby in a real way. A special person from everyone's account, a sweetheart, according to Miss Shea. She said he's exceptionally perceptive and wise, he's mature, thoughtful, and sweet. Someone who gets along with everyone in class and does it all without conceit. Who else had positive opinions of this lad? Coming up with one line, Miss Wright felt the same. If you look up sincerity in the dictionary, you'll find our Colby's name. It was also said he's strong and charismatic, well-loved, gentle, and hilarious. What a unique personality, it was said. You'd think we were talking about Elvis. Speaking of showbiz, Colby does have game. He was the darling of Mr. Galvez's improv class. Everyone wanted to work with him. His range of characters could not be surpassed. He's been in community theater, working with adults. He's terrific as an actor. He holds his own. His future is bright. His talents are many. We might just have to have him cloned. He's an eager and creative student of mine who took my art classes many times. Claymation, illustration, and after-school art, Miss McGillivray's table mate oftentimes. Suffice it to say, he's accomplished a lot. As student ambassador, he was in his element. In 7th grade, student of the year, and this year, student council president. With all these superlatives flying around, Colby has one glaring flaw. It seems this boy doesn't like chocolate. Of all things to dislike, pshaw. Now in after-school art, I hand out treats, so this flaw can be a problem. A no thank you to chocolate and also to choose, those braces can be troublesome. To this lad who flies home on his bicycle alone, be safe and carry on with that confidence. Old Orchard will miss you dearly for sure, but we'll have to get over your absence. Now I have a problem, how to end this rhyme, this poem about our dear Colby. To find a word that rhymes with his name. We'll have fun next year at Mitty. With much love, Mrs. Washington. And the second speech is an ode to Desi Lai. Desi, what can I say about a boy who is always polite? They say he's quiet, but not with his friends. He's respectful to adults, says Ms. Wright. He may be quiet, but there's a strength in there. He stands up for himself if he's ever teased. Some have called him mustache of champions. He will just own it and be secretly pleased. Not surprisingly, he's involved in his church, I hear. The junior high ministry is close to his heart. They learn about their religion as well as having fun. Good friends have become the best part. The challenge of being an altar boy, conquering your nerves can make you grow. Standing up in front of a crowd can give you pause. To this, I definitely know. No doubt being in class plays has helped you with this, from Hansel and Gretel to Alice in Wonderland. Of course, we mustn't talk about the King of Hearts. The mention of this part has been banned. Although most recently you joined speech and debate, wanting to quit this club was a natural reaction. But you stuck with it and improved your skills. Turns out it was one of the better things that you've taken. English and language arts are the subjects you enjoy. Mrs. Lum remembers your gift in 3rd grade. She said you mastered every form of poetry. Timid at first, your natural ability was displayed. Miss Shea said you were a wizard in her class. Your work has been published and recognized. Scholastic Art and Writing Awards Silver Key, your poem, Grown Child, I surmised. You also excelled in my class as well. I wouldn't exactly say you would be the next Picasso, but you always tried your best and followed directions. The results, the Saratoga Rotary Art Show. You swim as well. DACA is part of your life. Putting in practice time takes your determination. You've had much success through your years here, but I sense it isn't a burden. Your coming years at Mitty will be even better than you can imagine.
They will be lucky to have you as we have been. I hope you come back and visit often. With much love, Mrs. Washington.
Now I'd like to invite forward our closing speakers of the ceremony, Colby Worthington and Desi Lai.
Hello, I'm Colby Worthington, and I'll keep this short and sweet for the people dying to get out of their dress clothes. The first thing I'd like to say in my speech is thank you. And I just want to say thank you to everyone for putting up with me. Thank you to Mom, Dad, and Grandma for always being there whenever I needed you and giving me advice that I may not always accept. Thanks, Bryce, for being a great brother who I can tell almost anything to. Thanks, Mr. Parrish, for making history as fun as it can be. Thanks, Ms. Segarra, for helping me through Spanish when I was not the most fluent Spanish speaker. Thanks, Ms. Cohen, for always having an eye on me and keeping me in line. Thanks, Ms. Shea, for laughing at my bad jokes and making bad puns in return. Thanks, Mr. Ainoa, for teaching me about science while incorporating your own experiences into the lessons. Thank you, Ms. Washington, who is not here today, for making an art a great passion of mine. Thank you, Mr. Tyler, for being nice and accepting to me. Thank you, Ms. Wright, for making me feel special when I needed it. Thanks to 6th and 7th grade for giving me a break from the occasionally annoying 8th grade. And thank you to 8th grade. Thank you to the 8th grade class for giving me a great 3 years. I know that you will all do well wherever you go, and I hope that you have as much fun at high school as you did at Old Orchard.
My name is Desmond, and typically I'm called Desi, but I've been called many other names throughout this 9-year journey at Old Orchard School. When I was younger, I didn't like school, and recess was my favorite subject. 8th grade seemed so far away through the eyes of a 4th grader. Miss Coleman seemed mean and cold-hearted, and graduating seemed like all I ever wanted. In the end, I was very wrong. For the incoming 5th graders, Miss Coleman is the best. She's like a good friend as she is an amazing teacher. I cannot thank Miss Shea enough either, for I may never have an English teacher as charismatic and as supportive as you. Thank you, Miss Vine, for also helping me with my writing, and being the mastermind behind this beloved school. Also, thank you, Mr. Paris, for teaching me that I can always work harder and always ask a deeper question. Thank you, Ms. Segarra, for shouting at me in Spanish and for calling Andrew Pobrecito. Thank you, Mr. Ainoa, for being patient with all of us. I don't know how you made it a full year with our class. Thank you all other OOS staff. I'll remember each and every one of you. And when the next 8th grade graduates, who knows, maybe they'll want to stay just a bit longer. I always thought that this chapel got smaller every year I spent at OOS, but I never considered that maybe we grew instead. And though I hope they already know, thank you to my family. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for giving your constant aid. Their antics of teaching me a lesson weren't always fun, they were definitely effective. Even though most siblings on this stage have some sort of a grudge against their sibling, thank you, Francis. Though I wish the ECJ trip was just a little longer, I'm thankful for your advice and guidance into my freshman year. It was only until I put myself in your shoes that I realized how hard it is to be an older brother. And that said, you do a pretty good job. It is better to walk with your friends in the dark than it is to walk alone in the light. This was a quote from a book I read when I was about 10 years old. I've remembered it ever since that day for a reason. This quote taught me that the bonds of true friendship don't break under the dark and tough times. Whether it's 12 kids shivering on the warm rocks near a freezing river, or the same 12 kids laughing in a packed and sweaty car ride back home in the dark. Moments like these solidify the fact that I will never forget any of you, or the moments we had. And lastly, like when Michael Scott once said, dictionary defines superlative as of the highest kind, quality, or order, surpassing all else or others, supreme. I define it as them. As my class, as my second family, as my friends, and as future leaders, they are the highest kind, quality, and order, supreme. Ladies and gentlemen, the class of 2019.
I can tell somebody taller has been at my microphone. I'd now like to invite the 8th grade class forward with their songs. I'd like to invite Michael back forward because we're going to be getting close to the end of our ceremony, but not before we move on to the presentation of diplomas. And just for a moment before we get there, I have to thank one of our graduate parents, Keith Brown, who assembled our slideshow for us. And while I can't speak for the graduates, but we can see the pictures in the back, and it really does help. We'll be sharing the whole file later with the graduating families, but we appreciate it very much. But now it is my very great honor to move on to the presentation of diplomas. Ms. McGillivray will be reading the graduate names, and Ms. Cohen will be joining me with the diplomas.
Ariel David Bruslovsky. Isabel Lipman. Olivia Da Silva Wall. Enoch Chang. Victoria Elaine McMillan. Desmond Lai. Naomi Pearl Brown. Colby Clark Worthington. Andrew Pavlov. Nico Dewicki. Ben Robert Gleixner. Amanda Leave Holton. Alexander Beck Hegeman. Eric Foster Brown.
With a final thank you to the parents of the class of 2019 for entrusting us with your children for all these years. It's been a great pleasure and honor, And with a bursting heart, I present to you the Old Orchard School graduating class of 2019.